Hello and welcome to this special fireside chat focused on rising demand for Mechatronics and Semiconductor. To lead the discussion, I am joined by Dr. Rajendra Kumar, 92 batch IAS officer of Tamil Nadu cadre, currently serving as the additional secretary in Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. Dr. Kumar, it's always a pleasure to have you. Thank you for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me for this chat. Thank you.
Dr. Kumar, let me begin by asking you on semiconductor itself. If we look broadly on a global perspective, I mean, this is a market which is going to touch somewhere around 650 billion by 2025. And it is seeing a growth rate of possibly around 7% year on year. And right now it is dominated by a couple of countries, primarily by Taiwan and China. And within in our country, we have been focusing on ESDM sector a lot. Our own demand is somewhere around 25 billion. And by 2025 and down the line, possibly will be touching, given the fact that a lot of data center is being set up by state government. There are a lot of IoT implementation happening. We are going to have 5G technologies. And for all that, we'll need a semiconductor, and possibly our own requirement will touch somewhere around 100 billion. In that light, MeitY has focused a lot with the STPI and other organization on the development of this sector. Would you like to share your view as to where we are, what kind of efforts the government is making?
Yes, so as you may be aware, MeitY has unveiled the $1 trillion digital economy vision by 2025 for the country. And in that vision, the electronics manufacturing and the semiconductor manufacturing, they play a key part in achieving that vision next 5 years. And this is going to be one of the key components of how the digital economy is going to develop in India. And we already are seeing several indicators of this high growth happening in the semiconductor and electronics manufacturing space. We are working in a big way with the private sector partners to really promote emerging technologies, which includes IoT, 5G, then also the artificial intelligence. And this is going to give a big push to the demand for high-end devices, right, which have semiconductors as one of the key components. So our focus is to ensure that India can develop an entire ecosystem whereby we can manufacture the high-end devices, electronic devices, computers, high-end servers, mobile devices, etc. And at the same time, these devices will find a ready market within the country. Right. So from both sides, it's a supply push is required to ensure that the manufacturing facilities they develop, and a demand push is also required at the same time to ensure that the demand that is arising in India can be met from domestic manufacturing and domestic suppliers. So on both fronts, MeitY is working very actively. As I mentioned, our goal is to promote manufacturing and also promote the adoption of these advanced technologies, which can give a push to the demand for these products within the country.
I believe we already have a ESDM focus and a policy around it, and there is some thing happening on that front. So would you like to share, as part of your strategic priorities, is there any policy-driven roadmap, especially focused on the semiconductor, you are taking, given the fact that supply chain management, especially around the semiconductor and chip, is one of the global topic these days because of shortage, because of things that are happening on a security front. And you would have observed that even in US, most of the organizations are actually facing the shortage. So are we working something around those lines that down the line, if our requirement goes, as you said, that we are going to focus on next generation technologies, adoption of 5G and all. And within the country, there is a lot of focus on smartphone making, and a lot of things is happening in and around Noida on that front. So our demand will go. So on a policy front, are we doing anything?
In fact, this is the right time to really promote semiconductor manufacturing, and electronics manufacturing in a big way, because the supply situation, as you mentioned, is constrained around the world.
Right.
And right now, the economics for pushing the manufacturing ecosystem in India, that should work out well in favor of going ahead with the schemes that we have planned. So as you might be aware, we already have the PLI scheme for electronics manufacturing. So
Right.
that is helping the country in a very big way to attract greater manufacturing facilities, and also to increase our share in the global market of electronics manufacturing. So similar efforts are also underway now to promote electronic components manufacturing and also semiconductor manufacturing, which will focus in a big way on bringing highly advanced semiconductor fabs to India. So our efforts are focused in that direction now, and we hope that we can take advantage of the current economic situation, which is favorable to really bringing such advanced manufacturing ecosystems within India.
As you mentioned about the fab, we have been trying over the last 8-10 years. I mean, in your previous avatar also, you would have noticed that there were many visits made to different factories in Taiwan, in China, in different places. In your view, what are one or two areas of challenge, especially when it comes to the electronic system design and manufacturing, that if we are able to address, possibly we'll be able to bring large chunk of that business into in India, which also one of the key focus of Honorable Prime Minister ambitious Make in India project.
Yes, so as you mentioned about the efforts that have been going on for several years now,
right,
to attract these advanced manufacturing ecosystems to India, I think the key challenge is to get both the economics of such ventures, right, and the timing right. So these two are the critical factors when you look around the experiences of other countries around the world, which have really tried to promote such manufacturing within their countries. I think if we can get the equation for the timing and the economics of such ecosystems, then I think we can definitely succeed. And I believe right now it is the best time possible that we can think of to really attract such high-end manufacturing to India. And we are really geared up to achieve that goal of attracting such highly advanced facilities to India. And all our efforts currently, we are working with the interested parties which have shown interest in this venture. We are discussing with them, and we are also formulating suitable incentives from the government side to really attract them to set up these advanced facilities within India.
As you mentioned earlier on the next generation technology and electronic system design, what we have observed that both MeitY and Government of India's focus is on indigenization, even in the technology. There are a lot of effort is being made to promote or possibly engage young entrepreneur, young startup within the government framework, especially SMEs and startups, which can work on the cutting edge technologies. So would you like to share your views on how do you look at the role of startups and especially the small, medium businesses in India's risk, in our risk with indigenization, creating our own product and services?
Yes, so startup is a very big area where MeitY has really made very significant efforts in the last few years. We have set up the MeitY Startup Hub, which currently hosts more than 4,000 startups in different domains of emerging technologies in manufacturing, etc., where the goal is to really support and promote these startups to become world-class in emerging technologies and also in high-end manufacturing. We have set up nearly 25 centers of excellence across the entire country in partnership with the industry, where in different domains of emerging technology, for example, IoT, 5G, autonomous vehicles, also in artificial intelligence, blockchain, in ESDM, in system design. In all these areas, our vision is to really bring the startups and entrepreneurs on board and support them with funding from MeitY, with mentorship from the best experts in the world, and also work with industry partners in those domains so that these startups can be nurtured and they can grow to become competitive internationally. We have had several success stories where the startups have graduated from our system and they have gone on to attract funding from outside agencies on their own. So we wish to promote more such success stories, and we wish to really see that the startups can take India to the really international competitive level in both manufacturing and in advanced emerging technologies. So that's the goal that we have, and we are working very closely with the industry partners to achieve that vision.
Earlier, you mentioned on creating a holistic digital ecosystem. So within that digital ecosystem, I think the policy you spoke about, that is important. At the same time, we also need to have an IT policy, a proper set of guidelines in place, which we already have under the IT Act. And possibly, I believe a lot of things is being done on revising and adding some of the new element into it. Second is on the data. Data ultimately becomes quite important. So how do you collect data? How do you process data? Where you are keeping? And in case something goes wrong, what kind of safer mechanism you have? What kind of constitutional law and policies you have to safeguard those? So would you like to share some of your government views, especially the Minister of IT views on the IT Act and something that we are working around data protection bill?
Yes, so let me place this question in a slightly larger context of the overall vision that we have set for the country. That is the $1 trillion digital economy vision in the next 5 years. So that vision is based on a few key components. So let me just briefly mention that so that that will bring the context for the efforts that we are making in legal framework, etc. So the first component of that vision is to really promote digital platforms, right, national public platforms. So the idea is that the current focus has to move from applications to platforms. And that will really help in streamlining the services that departments offer to citizens and businesses, and ensuring that the services can be seamlessly delivered through, for example, a single sign-on mechanism for the citizens and businesses, and also ensuring that the current diverse applications within one domain can be brought on to a common front end and a common platform-based approach. So that's the first component of this vision. Already the National Digital Health Mission has been launched on this concept, and we have similar efforts going on in education, agriculture, etc., where we think that with the large platforms that these eventually would become, these domains would become, the value addition would be much greater compared to what we see today. The second major component of this vision of $1 trillion digital economy is to promote the electronic manufacturing and semiconductor manufacturing in a big way. Right. So since currently our share in the global market for the manufacturing ecosystem is not really high. So we wish to take it to a level where our contribution would become significant and we would be counted as a global hub for electronics and semiconductor manufacturing. The third component of this entire vision is to really support startups and promote the emerging technologies through the startups. So in that domain also, as I mentioned, we have the MeitY Startup Hub, and we have set up the Center of Excellence across the entire country, where we want our startups to become globally competitive. And as you are aware, during the current year itself, we have 31 unicorns, and the total unicorns have gone to more than 70 now. So we wish to see that in the next 1 year, this number should grow much more. And we can be counted as the world's foremost hub for startups. The fourth element of this vision is to focus on emerging technologies and developing advanced technologies and deploying them in both government domains and the private sector. So that requires a very major push towards R&D and working with the industry to develop these technologies. and deploying them in various domains. So in that also we have made great efforts. The national program on AI is now being led by MeitY. And under that overall program, we really wish to promote advanced technologies in different domains. The fifth element is to bring a legal framework for digital economy and for data handling. So this is a very important domain where currently our efforts are focused on the Personal Data Protection Bill, which is in the Parliament at an advanced stage of consideration. Once that bill comes into effect, once that bill becomes a law, then we would have the world's most advanced legal framework for data handling and data processing. So that I think would really give a very big boost to our data economy, whereby all our data fiduciaries, the IT sector, would get a legal framework to collect data, to process data, and use that data. So that would put us on par with the world's best economies in terms of the data handling and data processing capabilities within the overall framework of the personal data protection legislation. So this is one major area where we are currently really all involved. And we really see that once that bill becomes a law, this would give a very big boost to our overall digital economy and the IT sector.
Absolutely. One thing, this will be the last question. And one thing you just mentioned that we as a country, especially in technology space, now looking for platform approach. So we have built some of fantastic program in silos and maybe application based driven, but now we are moving to an integrated platform. Approaching or adopting a platform approach means that we are doing a lot of modernization and a lot of re-engineering within our application. That means we are using a lot of Kubernetes, containers, microservices. And I know that there are a lot of state governments, even they are experimenting. Their IT teams are experimenting with these new technology. The only challenge for platformization is that in these new areas of Kubernetes and container, it required a different level of expertise. And that level of expertise somehow on a capacity building part, we need to really work on. So would you like to share your views as to how do you look at creating skills, a next generation technology skills within the government framework so that we are able to handle the critical data and critical workload ourselves, and if it is highly required, then possibly we are outsourcing to third party.
Yeah, so let me briefly mention about our overall concept of platforms that we are promoting now. So already we have great examples of national level platforms which we are all currently using. One great example is our Aadhaar platform, which is a very large platform for identity verification and providing services to people through that mechanism. So that is one platform which is now a part of many applications where they want to use the real-time verification being provided by the Aadhaar platform. Similarly, we have now the government e-marketplace as a platform, which is being used by many departments. We have the GST network, the GSTN platform. We have the unified payment interface platform. So these are all common platforms which are at the national scale, which can be very easily and very quickly deployed by any department for their own applications. So by this approach, by using this platform and using them as building blocks, they can quickly develop applications and they can quickly go live. So that's the concept of the platforms. So similarly, for the health mission, which has been launched by Honorable Prime Minister recently, there again, the goal is to bring all the healthcare providers, the health records of the citizens, and all the testing laboratories, plus the health insurance, etc., onto one platform. So with that platform, it would make it so much easier for everyone, the citizens, to discover the healthcare services, and for the healthcare providers to really provide the best services and to be able to do all the transactions in a completely online fashion. So that's a great advantage that we see in this approach. And similar efforts are now going on, as I mentioned, in education, agriculture sector, where I think a transformation we would be able to see through this entire approach. For a skilling part, we have a program called Future Skills, which is being run with the industry, where the goal is to train the professionals in these advanced technologies, which you mentioned. So that is helping the departments, helping the private sector to really get people with advanced skills and to train the existing manpower with these advanced technologies. So that is addressing the requirements in a big way. But we need to really upscale this effort to much higher levels if we have to focus on economy-wide transformation using digital technologies. That's happening now, and we really would like to work with all the stakeholders in achieving the overall vision for the $1 trillion economy that we have put in place.
Dr. Kumar, thank you so much for your time, and you spoke quite eloquently on the topic of rising demand for mechatronics and semiconductor, and as to what India is doing to promote electronic system design and manufacturing within the country, and the kind of opportunities that we can have within the country if we are able to put in place some of the challenges that we are facing. Thank you so much for your time, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.